Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent NHL content on all things relating hockey and the NHL overall. And as we know, the 2020 NHL Draft is so close upon us. This Friday, June 26th at approximately 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I am so hyped for the Draft Lottery, and with that being said, it just makes sense to do another Draft Lottery simulation video. So this is going to be my second 2020 NHL Draft Mock Lottery simulation video, and with that being said, I'm going to be using Cap Friendly this time versus the site I previously used. And a quick shout out to Hot Take Hockey, as he was the first guy I saw use Cap Friendly, because I didn't even realize if you hit this interactive button, it will give you a chance to do a mock draft. So that's what I'll be doing with you today. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, the setup's actually pretty nice. I like it on Cap Friendly. So these are the teams, of course, that don't have their first round picks but can obtain them if they say get a lottery pick or a top 10 or top 15 pick. So those are the teams right there. And then if you go down, if I hit this choose winner button, which I'm about to do, it'll tell me who wins the lottery in picks 1, 2, and 3. So after I do that, I'm going to finish that and then do the mock draft of 1 through 15 of teams, where they go in that 1 through 15 and players that seem best fit for each of those teams. But before I go further, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do it if you like this kind of hockey content. Make sure to hit that like button at the end of this video. But let's just get right into it now. Ottawa Senators, that makes sense. I messed with this a couple times before recording, but Senators makes perfect sense to me as a first overall selection, without a doubt. Second overall, Anaheim Ducks. Almost every time I've done this, the Anaheim Ducks have gone in the top 3. My previous video for the Draft Lottery, the first time that simulation, it was the New Jersey Devils. This time it's the Anaheim Ducks. So I guess this is a sign maybe they'll get in that top 3. Who knows? Calgary Flames. I don't even know how to react to that. That is insane. Wow. Okay. If you're not shocked, I don't know how. That's the first time I've had the Flames in a top 3 pick. Insane. Hit that save lottery button. Now let's get right into it. The players I think are going to go where for these teams. Wow, that is nuts. Wow. Okay. Starting off with the okay, let's just check this out 1 through 15 real quick. Senators at first, Anaheim Ducks at second, Calgary Flames at third, Red Wings at fourth. They always seem to fall out of that top 3. I think that's a harsh reality they might face come Friday. Fifth, Ottawa Senators with the pick they acquired in the Erik Karlsson trade. Sixth, the LA Canes. Seventh, the New Jersey Devils. Eighth, the Buffalo Sabres. Ninth, the Montreal Canadiens. 10th, Chicago Blackhawks. 11th, Devils, and the deal that they received a first-round pick in return for Taylor Hall. 12th, Minnesota Wild. 13th, Vancouver Canucks. 14th, Nashville Predators. And 15th, Florida Panthers. Wow, that is nuts. That is really nuts. Okay, let's just get right into it. Okay, starting off with number 1. Alexis Lafreniere is going to the Ottawa Senators. I hit the wrong button there. But yes, Lafreniere is going to the Ottawa Senators. That's just what's going to happen. Lafreniere, undoubtedly the best player in this 2020 NHL draft class, and for good reason. He had 112 points in his draft year going this year, and only 52 games in the QMJHL. Easily looking like the most poised player in this entire draft, and if not a generational talent, then definitely a franchise talent that'll propel this Ottawa Senators in their full rebuild, and it would just do wonders for them, as they already have a plethora of offensive talent in their prospect pool and already on their roster, and adding a guy like Alexis can be their leader going forward and really help them get out of this rebuild a lot sooner than I would imagine, would assume. Next, you have the Anaheim Ducks at number 2, and they are undoubtedly taking Quinton Byfield. Yes, they do have some depth at the center position in their prospect pool, and with the guys that are currently on their roster, like Sam Steele, I believe Maxime Comtois plays center, or maybe he's just a winger, and Maxime Jones. I think at least one of those plays center as well, but Sam Steele I'm a fan of too. I think he has a decent future with them as well, but Byfield, the future leader for the Anaheim Ducks, with the likes of Ryan Getzlaf in the latter years of his career. It wouldn't surprise me. Byfield has a potential to be the next captain of the Anaheim Ducks. That's just how good he is. And overall, he had 82 points in just, I believe, 45 OHL games. Fantastic numbers. Truly another guy that can be a franchise talent for many and would be a perfect fit for the Anaheim Ducks. But third, with the craziest thing out of nowhere, the Calgary Flames jumping to 3. Who are they going to take? I think, honestly, this is tough. They could use that help on defense, but are they going to draft Drysdale all the way at 3? That's what I feel uncomfortable doing. I don't see Drysdale going in the top 3, regardless of what happens at the lottery. So that being said, I think they're going to go with Lucas Raymond. I think they're fine at the center position, which would push them away from Stützle because they already have the likes of Sean Monahan and, of course, Mikael Backlund, who are both very solid players for the Calgary Flames. I think they'll go with Raymond, add more depth to that wing, and I think that would help them a lot as they don't have nearly as good of an offensively minded team as they did last year. Besides their coaching change, I think bringing in a guy like Raymond, oozing with offensive potential, will do wonders for them. But if you look at his stats, Raymond had only 10 points in just over 30 games in the SHL this year, but don't let that phase you because he is an 18-year-old playing in men's league and did just fine and looks like he easily has some of the most potential in this entire draft class. But Raymond, I'm going with at number 3 for the Flames. 4, Tim Stützle is going to the Detroit Red Wings and reuniting with his fellow countrymen in Moritz Seider. As we all know, they have played with each other, of course, and both having the same intellect, being German, that would help them so much in their development coming to the NHL, in my opinion, especially if they do draft a guy like Stützle. It would make perfect sense for them to come together as soon as next season into the NHL. I think that'd be fantastic for them to both debut like that, and maybe they would even be roommates together. Just all the little things I think would help their development tremendously if Stützle does get drafted by the Detroit Red Wings, and I think it just looks picture perfect for them to acquire him at the 4th overall pick if they fall out away of the top 3. But next now, with the 5th pick, the Ottawa Senators are going to get Marco Rossi, and I did not mean to click his profile. Let's just get out of that. They're going to get Marco Rossi because, no, it's not just because he played for the Ottawa 67s in junior, even though that does help a little bit in my opinion. Rossi is really undoubtedly a top 5 talent in this draft, and I got some flack in my previous lottery video, and if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do at the end of this one because I didn't have Rossi in the top 5. But I think that goes hand in hand with who has the top 5 overall picks, and I feel, unfortunately, some teams might sleep on Rossi given his size. I think he's a little bit smaller than some teams and scouts would like to see, even though I'm highly against that profiling a player just on their size, and I even did a video on that a couple videos ago. But regardless, Rossi had 120 points in the OHL this year, including, of course, 39 goals and 81 assists in those 56 games. Remarkable numbers, but Rossi, along with Lafreniere, would just be phenomenal for the Ottawa Senators overall in developing and going through this complete rebuild, and they could easily look like a dominant force within the next couple years. But next, you have at number 6, the LA Kings, and yes, they are taking Jamie Drysdale. They have a fantastic offensively minded prospect pool, one of the best in the entire NHL, but bringing in a guy like Jamie Drysdale to help that defense out just makes perfect sense. They don't have nearly as much depth on the defensive front as they do on the offense, so bringing a guy like Jamie Drysdale, an offensively minded defenseman with 47 points in 49 games in junior this year in the OHL, looks like a perfect fit for them at the 6th spot. 7th, though, you have the New Jersey Devils. They got to go with Alexander Holtz. They got to go with Alexander. They need wingers. They have depth at the center position with the likes of Nico Hischier already, and of course Jack Hughes, the 1st overall pick in 2019. But bringing in a guy like Alexander Holtz, who is deemed by some as one of the purest goal scorers in all this draft, is going to do wonders for them. Having him alongside the likes of either Hischier or Hughes on that wing will help them tremendously as they continue this kind of rebuild, more so rebuild than retool after everything going south for them at the beginning of this past season. But Holtz looks like a perfect spot for them and had 16 points in 35 games in the SHL. So Holtz, I'm really a big fan of. It would kind of crush me to see him go to the Devils because I'm not a Devils fan, obviously as a Rangers fan, but no ill will against the Devils at all. I think he would be a perfect spot for them at number 7. Number 8 now, you have the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres, do they look for that center depth or do they look for that winger depth? That's the question. Are they going to go with a guy like Cole Perfetti or Antoine Lindell? Well, they definitely need some more offensive production, but they really also need help overall when it comes to just having forwards that are good in their own zone, besides the likes of Jack Eichel, of course. So that being said, do I think they'll pass on Cole Perfetti? That's really tough looking at that. You know what? I'm going to go with a surprise pick. I think they'll get Antoine Lindell. And here's why. Antoine Lindell is arguably my favorite player in this entire draft, and for good reason. He's the best defensively minded centerman/winger in this draft and has done a fantastic job in Liga, the Finnish Elite League, as an 18-year-old. If you look at his numbers this year, he has just done a fantastic job, as I said. And I'm trying to find my numbers in my notes right here. Yeah, he had 28 points in 44 games. So yes, he doesn't ooze with offensive talent as some of the other players on this list, but overall his neutral zone and defensive zone game makes up for it. Fantastic overall talent. I think whoever drafts him will get such a steal because he'll probably fall farther than he should be. And with that being said, let's get to number 9 now, where the Montreal Canadiens are going to draft Cole Perfetti. They're not going with a defenseman, and here's why. Yes, I know that they have a fantastic prospect pool, but they also have depth on that left side defense when it comes to prospects. So with that being said, I think it just makes perfect sense to bring in a guy like Cole Perfetti. They need a number one centerman, and Perfetti could be, if not that number one, then definitely a guy in their top 6 for years to come. Yes, I know that they have deep prospect pool with their offense overall, with guys like Nick Suzuki really stepping up and Ryan Poehling looking like he'll be with them going into the future, of course, as he's dealt with injury. But regardless, Cole Perfetti really looks like a stud. If you look at his stats this past season, he had 111 points in 64 OHL games, being the captain for the Saginaw Sting. I think he'll just do a fantastic job at the NHL level for the Montreal Canadiens. Next, now you have at number 10. It's tough because I don't see necessarily a goaltender getting in that top 10, but it just makes too much sense to me for them not to go with a guy like Yaroslav Askarov. Many people that have done these videos will say the exact same thing, and I get it. I really do. Askarov, a fantastic talent, and really looks like he will do a lot for them going forward. I believe he has a goals allowed average of 2.45 and has a save percentage right around 920, and he appeared in just under 20 VHL games for the Scott St. Petersburg, so basically they're AHL, and he appeared in one actual KHL with the Scott St. Petersburg of the KHL. But overall, Yaroslav Askarov, deemed by many scouts as really a franchise goaltender going forward, and the Chicago Blackhawks, they need a new goaltender as Corey Crawford is in the latter year of his career, obviously, and they don't have Robin Lehner anymore as they trade him at the trade deadline to the Vegas Golden Knights. So Askarov at number 10. Next now at number 11, the New Jersey Devils are going to pick Jake Sanderson. Yes, they're going to get Jake Sanderson. He's a very controversial topic for many, and I really don't get why, but I guess I see some side of it. Sanderson deemed by many as a top 10 talent, and others really falling all the way to 20 plus. Really depends on who you talk to and what scouts you read upon. But Sanderson, a very strong-looking defenseman, the best player coming out of the USHL this year, as the USHL doesn't have nearly as much depth as it did in the 2019 draft. But regardless, Sanderson had 14 points in 19 games. He looks like more of a stay-at-home defenseman, but can contribute offensively at times, but I wouldn't bank on him for it. He's viewed by many scouts as the most poised defenseman in this draft, really one of the most NHL ready, where he's a safe pick to get. Let's say you're kind of worrisome if you're in a spot where you don't necessarily know who to get. Jake Sanderson looks like a lock, especially as the second best defenseman in this overall draft. But next now you have at number 12, you go for the Minnesota Wild. This is tough. They definitely need offense, no question. But what kind of offense would they be looking for? Jack Quinn makes a lot of sense to me, but I don't know if they'll go with a guy like Jack Quinn. Yes, they need goal scorers and everything, but I feel like they might pass on Jack Quinn for a guy like Dylan Holloway. Dylan Holloway just seems like he would be a better fit, in my opinion, for the Minnesota Wild. And yes, he might not be as flashy, but his overall game is just fantastic. Playing in college this year, obviously, Holloway has just done a great job. He has 17 points in 35 games in the NCAA, and overall, he looks like he would just be a good fit, really close to NHL ready, if not already, for the Minnesota Wild, and could jump in their lineup as soon as next season, contribute in that top 6, top 9, and I know they already have some guys who have played in the NCAA in that lineup, so that would help a lot as well. But overall, Holloway just makes sense to me at the 12th pick. But 13, the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks, this is interesting too, because would they go with a winger or would they go with, say, a centerman? Well, thinking about their depth, they obviously have Pettersson, Bo Horvat, etc. So this one's kind of tough too, not going to lie. I think, honestly, they could use some more help on that wing overall. So with that being said, I think they're going to go with Jack Quinn. If they're in that spot, why not go with a guy like Jack Quinn, who's deemed as arguably the purest goal scorer in this draft, besides the fact of course, playing alongside the likes of Marco Rossi on that wing for the Ottawa 67s. But Jack Quinn, a really strong talent that I think could get slept on because of him playing alongside Rossi, unfortunately, but should not doubt how good he is of a goal scorer by any means. If you look at his stats this year, he had 52 goals for 89 total points in just over 60 games, 62 OHL games. Like I said, looking like the purest goal scorer in this draft, and the Vancouver Canucks, if they could get him at 13, that would just be fantastic. But next now, at number 14, you have the Nashville Predators. And the Predators are ones that, yes, they've lacked some help on the defense this year besides Rossi and dealing with injuries with Ryan Ellis, of course. But regardless, I think they're going to go with that offense because that offense does not look nearly as good as it should. But are they going to go with a center or are they going to go with a winger? This is tough. I think they're going to go with Connor Zary, and here's why. I think that out of Matt Duchene, their center depth is just not nearly as good as people see it as. Nick Bonino has had a decent season. Of course, he started off really hot, but then kind of fell down. Kyle Turris has had a better season, but overall has never lived up to the hype since playing for the Ottawa Senators. And bringing in a Connor Zary would make a lot of sense to me. And even though he might take a little bit more time to develop, they are in a win-now stage, so I don't think that's too much of a problem. As you know, Connor Zary had 86 points in 57 games in the WHL this year, and really looking like he could be a crucial part to the Nashville Predators prospect pool going forward. And with my last pick today at number 15, the Florida Panthers are going to select a centerman. I don't think they're going to get a winger because I think they have plenty of winger depth. I think that they may go the lengths of skipping on a guy like Noel Gunler, Seth Jarvis, and even Dawson Mercer because they're going to go with a guy like Hendrix Lapierre. He has really went up in the draft rankings over the past couple months. And yes, he does kind of look like a more boomer bust, but he has a lot of potential. So Lapierre just makes a lot of sense to me, and I actually don't even have notes on him for you, so I'm sorry I can't give you stats. But Lapierre, from everything that I read, it just makes sense for the Panthers to go for a guy like him because they have depth when it comes to the wingers. They already, yes, even if they lose a guy like Mike Hoffman and or if Evgeny Dadonov in free agency, they do have the likes of Grigory Denisenko, one of their top prospects coming in with the team next year, Owen Tippett, etc. So I think they're fine, and Lapierre I just think makes sense at 15. But with all those things being said, that is going to conclude this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope it wasn't too long. If you like this kind of NHL content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you stay up to date with me. I'll have my make sure you put your notification on and all that stuff because I do try to post every other day, but sometimes I'll post the next day or 3 days. It all depends on my schedule. But overall, thank you all so much. Please hit like, subscribe, comment, all those great things. If you agree or disagree with me on my list, let me know in the comments below, and check out my previous videos right down here. I'll have them for you. But with all those things being said, thank you all again so much, and I'll be back in a day or two.